Where are the buyers? Where are the sellers? I keep telling you to ask yourself this question, right? Now we will check it out today in today's price action analysis, and we will see how Nifty and Bank Nifty did. Welcome to today's video. This is the pivot trade, and we will be seeing how Nifty and Bank Nifty performed in today's market. Now this is 11th of July 2022, and let's start with Nifty first. Let's start analyzing this sort of price action. Now what do we see here as the opening candle? What are the important things that you should understand, and you should ask yourself, where has the candle opened? This is the candle open. So the most important question is, where has it opened? You can see that this is the previous day low, right? And since the previous day session had been a tight session, it had a very small range. The PDL and the PDH are anyway important, but today it was all the more important given the fact that it was a compression of price in the previous nearly 2 sessions. And so when price opens just outside the previous day's range, it is kind of trying to break into that range. So that is one important thing that you should always understand. Second thing you should always see is whether there is any important support below that one candle here. If you remember, and if you had seen this particular candle when it was happening, it was actually a red candle that was taking place like this initially after it opened, and it looked to be a strong red candle, and suddenly the price action actually showed us that the candle was turning out to be a green candle, and it closed here. So it was a very strong green candle. This, whenever you see that within this 5-minute session the sellers have pushed the price down, and then the buyers come back and close the price action or that particular candle right here with a very small body, but with this big a wick, it indicates that it is a very strong bullish candle. And this bullish candle had happened exactly on top of the virgin CPR that was coming from the previous session, which I just said was in a compression kind of a state. You can see this day here. You can see that this day was trading in a very tight range for the most part here, like this, right? So that range was very tight. We did not see any particular breakout from any range in that session. And so this session here we had a very tight CPR. So the CPR was indicative of a particular blast to either side, and we were not sure which side the blast would be. Thankfully it has come to the upside here. So you can see how in the later half of the day, after around 12:30 p.m. when price actually took support at the day's low, it tended to rally upwards. Okay, now the important question that we have asked is, where has it opened and where is it taking support? So why are these questions important? These questions are important for the simple fact that if the price action shows us that the opening is somewhere here, and you can see that there is a CPR right ahead of it where the CPR is very narrow, then there is a chance that you can trade or take a long trade right in the very first candle itself. But was it right to go long here in the very first candle? It was not right, because it was already taking resistance at two resistances, the PDL and the S1 support also, which since the price was below it has become a resistance. So even if we call it as an S1 support, always remember that if price is below it, it does not remain to be a support, it becomes a resistance now. So all those new traders that are watching this video or who have just started following this channel, always remember that support becomes resistance and resistance will tend to become support. It depends on where price is approaching it from. So you can see how the daily pivot and the previous day low have acted as strong resistances to price. And that is why I had said in the morning when I had tweeted that Nifty is caught between two important supports and resistances. So the important support was the virgin CPR, the CPR which was not touched on the previous trading session, as well as the day low, the current day low. These were the two supports for price once this particular candle was formed, and then the two resistances were already there, the PDL and the R1, or sorry, the S1, the support one. Okay, so the S1 was acting as a resistance today, and you can see how after this big candle was formed, the price was actually pushed down. But then a good strategy here is to go long here if you see any particular bullish signal. Now the bullish signal was given by this particular candle here. Was it a good idea to go long on this candle here? And your profit booking would be right here. So your SL would have been somewhere here and safest SL would have been here. So that is no way to trade. That is not a good trade to take at all, because your profit booking is right in front of you. So this candle actually became a very big candle, and before you could enter, it actually closed on a 5-minute basis in a very strong candlestick kind of a pattern, right? So this candlestick pattern, had it actually been something like a candlestick where it forms something like this here, then it would have been a different scenario where you could have gone or think of, or even this is a big candle actually, rather we should have had a particular candle where we see a small candlestick like this with a long wick or something like this here, exactly at the base of this particular pin bar here, the base of this pin bar. Then it is a good idea to actually go long here, and your SL would be here, and then your profit booking would happen here. Because it's something of that sort of structure, but that was not the price structure today. And after this, you could see how price was taking a resistance at the combination of those two pivots. Then it actually tended to come down, and somewhere around here I actually said that I'm not very positive about going long in Nifty. Okay, and now let's go ahead and see whether Nifty had actually broken into the previous day's range earlier in the day. Now, where is your initial resistance? Your initial and the very first resistance is right here, wherever you see that day's high or the first candle's high. So up until this point was formed, this was supposed to be the initial high, right? So what should you do? You should go ahead and mark a line like this here. You should go ahead and mark a line where you can see that there is a resistance there. Now what do you see? You can see that there is a wick here which has gone above it. So there is no candle close above it. And then you shift that line upwards. Now do you see any candle close above it? We don't, because we see this particular wick here. So what should you do? You should go ahead and plant this line above this wick. And now you can see how, in spite of these two candles closing inside the previous day's range here, above that particular resistance here, the price has still taken resistance and fallen. So if you are wondering why your SL got triggered here after you went long on this candle after it broke into the previous day's range, then this is the reason, because this was never the breakout candle. Okay, it doesn't matter if it looks strong, it is not a breakout candle because it has not closed above this previous high, the high that this wick had made. Okay, and you can see that the price is actually tended to take resistance here, then it has fallen miserably, so much that it has fallen right up to the day's low support here, and then it actually formed this sort of a candle which was sort of a pin bar. Was it a good idea to go long here? It would have been a good idea to go long here had price not formed this sort of a price action right before, right after the day had opened. So right here it had formed this price action. What did it show? That buyers were strong at this position, they were successful in pushing the price up. Okay, so this kind of a scenario here where you can find that this day low is being retested a third time is not the exact way that you should be trading. If you can see that the price has already retested that low once, it has already taken a bounce, and then it has not really gone much higher and it has come down. So what if the sellers had actually pushed the price even lower after you went long on this particular candlestick? Then you would have been caught, right? You would have been caught here, your SL would have been taken, so then you would have been in a trap. So that is why this candlestick was not a very good idea to go long on, because anyway otherwise your profit booking would have been here. Otherwise it was a very good trade to take had this particular correction not been there, but that correction went right up to the day's low. Had this been a small correction like this and price gone up and had just formed this sort of a price action and then it had come and retested the day's low, then this would have been an excellent trade to take. Okay, and one more reason why that trade was not really a very high probability trade was because of the width of the CPR. Usually when you see such a tight CPR, it is never a good idea to take any reversal patterns, usually because there will be some breakout that you will be expecting. It is a different scenario that the breakout actually happened to the upside today. You should not let yourself get carried away with the scenario that some strong candlestick closes inside the previous day's range. if you get carried away like that, then you're bound to get trapped like this within this particular zone right here. Okay, why did price actually happen to reverse here? Was because the breakout was never there. This was the high, and you can see that after that the price never really went upwards. It actually tended to come down right up to the day's low, and then it took a bounce from there. But even then, since this day had actually retested, or the price had actually retested the day's low here, there was no point taking this particular trade. And the second reason being that the CPR was very narrow today, and on a narrow CPR day, usually you should be waiting or looking out for breakout kind of trades instead of reversal kind of trades. But yes, the price action did have a setup for a breakout today. So because it was kind of trading within this very zone for a long time, and it was only in the second half that it actually tended to open out to the upside. But that is just speculative, and it's all fine to say after the market closes, but during the live market you have no idea where this particular breakout might happen, towards the upside or towards the downside, right? I hope that thing is clear to you. And then you can see how price actually kept going up without any big red candles. You can see a few red candles sprayed in between here, but not many of them. Most of that was dominated by the green candles, and buyers came sharply and pushed the price upwards. So this is basically a breakout to the upside after a long consolidation phase, almost half of the day spent in consolidation alone. Going by this price action, let's see if we have any more levels to be marked. See, we do not see any particular candlesticks closing within the virgin CPR today, but since it's already a virgin CPR and candles have touched it, at least the wicks have touched it, we will delete that, but we will mark this particular zone as a strong support now. Okay, this is to be marked as a support because we do see the price action there. We can see that there's a big bounce from there. We'll check on the 15-minute time frame. So we can also mark a zone if you want like this. So you can keep a zone ready like this, and that zone is going to be important. Whenever you see price returning to that area, you have to keep your eyes open, and you have to see if there is any sort of reversal or any sort of bullishness that you see in that particular zone there. I'm not marking the PDH as an important supply zone because we have the supply zone coming from the 8th of July, which is further away from price yet. So I'm not marking that particular zone yet as of now. We do see certain red candles at the end. So the price actually did take a sell-off in the initial or the last half an hour or 45 minutes, but still it's not a very big sell-off. So we're not marking that area as a very strong supply zone. But anyway, you know that PDH and PDL are important levels. Let's go to Bank Nifty now. Let's see what Bank Nifty did. Okay, Bank Nifty opened with a very strong bullish candle, and first thing that strikes you is the width of this particular CPR. See, it's almost a line. You cannot even make out there are 3 lines in that line, isn't it? It's a very tight CPR, plus the PDL and the S1 and the PDH and the R1 are exactly at the same spot. Alright, now going ahead, let's see what we had below it. We had a virgin CPR right below price today, and we had seen price consolidating in the previous session on the 8th of July, and you can see how Bank Nifty had made a very big candle, more than 200 points in the very first opening candle itself, and then after that there was not much movement in Bank Nifty actually. So if you were to see this particular movement right from the close of this candle up to the day close, which is here, it's around 200 points. Okay, and if you were to measure it up to the absolute day high, then it's around 300 points. So basically this particular candle's range, if you see right from the low of that candle up to the high, it is clearly 250 points. So if you were to think about it, then Bank Nifty had gone nearly 250 points in the first 5 minutes itself, and then there was barely a 100-point movement after that, right? So after that, or maybe a 200-point movement after that, where if you see from the close of the first 5-minute candle to the close of the day candle, and about a 300-point movement if you see from the close to the high of this particular day itself. So we can safely say that nearly more than around 50% of the move was done by Bank Nifty in the very first candle itself. And when you see such such green candles with huge bodies, then you know that there are a lot of buyers in this candle. So there is a big footprint of some big institution placing huge orders right here. Okay, so never underestimate the power of such candles. So the low of these candles are supposed to be marked right away as strong supports. So even before the day closes, you can go ahead and mark the low of this kind of candles as strong supports, because they are not just supports, they are demand zones. And you can see how Bank Nifty has gone right up to the PDH. So it has nearly traveled the entire range of the previous session, that is the session on the 8th of July, in one 5-minute candlestick itself. And then you can see how Bank Nifty actually kept going sideways in a very tight range here again, and that actually was true right up to 2:05 p.m. and it was only after 2:05 p.m. that it made these big green candles. Then it kind of made a high here right at the R3 pivot, took resistance, and then it kept going in a sideways fashion. So nothing really to show in Bank Nifty. Bank Nifty had whatever it had, it had traveled in the first 5-minute candlestick itself. So it was kind of a flagpole pattern here that we had today. Okay, so I hope this indicates a bullishness to follow it up with, and we had actually seen a gap down opening, or at least a negative opening indicated by SGX Nifty today, but the day happened to be, or turned out to be, positive today. So it was a good rally to the upside. And if you see from the low to the high, then you can see that this being the low of today to the day high, Bank Nifty has traveled more than 500 points. So it's a very good move in Bank Nifty today. And given this, let's go ahead and check the daily time frame. Right, we will see that there has been a very strong green candlestick, and we can see in fact that Bank Nifty has been making strong green candlesticks right since the day of 30th June, that is the end of June. So you can see that Bank Nifty has clearly been in a strong uptrend now, right since the beginning of this month. And even this particular candlestick that you see, the red candlestick here, has not really been able to breach the low of this green candlestick. So that was the 4th of July. So the 5th of July could not really breach the low of the 4th of July, and that was a minor correction that came in here, and then price keeps to continues to go upwards. And you can see how this pattern has been formed here, which is an outside bar candlestick pattern if you are considering the close to open basis here. Okay, it's not exactly an outside bar because this wick goes below this particular candle, but there are some traders who work on purely the body alone. Okay, I for one am not someone who looks at such candlestick patterns. I don't really trade on such candlestick patterns, but if you were to ask me what inside bar and outside bar are, then I would tell you that I would consider the entire candlestick, not just the body itself. But I know a lot of traders who will consider just the body itself, not the wicks, and in their definition this is an outside bar or an engulfing candlestick pattern. So if this particular high is to be, or if they are to be believed, if this particular high is broken, then the next strong resistance we see is right up here, which we have marked as 35,958, that is very close to 35,960, and then the next resistance here is this candle's high, which is the 36,083 level, and next to that is the 36,313 level that we have marked. So these are the strong resistances that Bank Nifty now has on the upside. So the most important swing high is going to come at this particular level here, which happens to be the 36,083 level. So around 36,100 is going to be a test for Bank Nifty now. Right, so going back into the intraday time frame, let's see on the 15-minute time frame what do we have here. We can see that it is a very strong movement in the 15-minute time frame. It kind of had, as I said, the entire movement was done in the first candle itself, so we have marked that first candle's low. Now in Bank Nifty, we will extend this particular version CPR ahead, as we had or we have not had any touch in the version CPR as we saw in, or unlike we saw in Nifty. Let's delete this supply zone here. Bank Nifty actually broke through that supply zone, but it was not a convincing breakout. And as of now, Bank Nifty has consolidated after that breakout. But let me tell you this, that this particular candle's low has not been broken yet. So this green candle is the breakout candle, the 2:15 p.m. candle, and that candle is providing support to Bank Nifty here. Okay, so I for one believe that or I think that the price might open somewhere above this area tomorrow, but we will have to see what happens. It is just speculation. It's the market, so anything can happen, but I don't see this particular breakout candle being broken or the low being broken yet. So that breakout has not failed exactly. The market is actually closed, so the market hours were over, but the breakout has not failed. Now it all depends on how SGX Nifty does, and let's see if Nifty drags Bank Nifty down along with it. But otherwise we should see an upward movement or a movement to the upside tomorrow also. Might not be a trending day, but it might not even break today's low, that is the session of 11th July's low might not be broken tomorrow either. Okay, so I think this is all. These are the important levels that were needed to be marked. We do have one resistance line here. So if you consider this point, then we did see that the price was taking a resistance multiple times at this area, and then this 2 p.m. candle broke out of it, and then price has not really come back to that area again. So this area, if price is above it, might act as a support when price comes to that area again, since it was acting as a long-term resistance today. Let's check on the 5-minute time frame. We can see that price had reversed from that area around 10:30 a.m. Then it reversed again at around 1:15 p.m. But we can see that the 2:05 p.m. candle here had actually broken out of that range, and then price has not visited that area again. But then you can again see that the price or that line actually lies right within this particular CPR for tomorrow. So instead of marking this line and making things more uncomfortable for the eyes, and also making it less jumbling for the brains, for our brains, we will delete that level, will not keep that level active here. But just remember that even in the next trading sessions or consecutive trading sessions, you should understand that this level might act as an important support. Why I say that, I'll explain to you here once again in better terms here. See, I'm saying that was because after a 250 point move here in Bank Nifty, this level here was giving surprisingly good resistance, right? And then it was broken here as a resistance. So if price were to come back and touch this level might now act as a support. I'm not saying it will or it will immediately, but anytime that price might does come and visit this area again, it might act as a support now if it comes from the top. So that is one reason that I'm saying that that level might be important. But since for tomorrow's trading session it is right within the or the CPR, we don't need to mark that today. We just extended the 8th July version CPR forward. We are also having the version CPR from the 7th of July here, and that is all for the price action. I think there are no important levels as of now that I see, and all other important levels we have already marked, and I have been posting these charts to Twitter regularly. And so please do take those levels down from Twitter. You will get those on Twitter. You can follow that link down to TradingView, and you can have these levels on your charts. So guys, this is it for the price action analysis of today. And if you like this video, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell icon so you'll know every time I post a new video. Thank you for your patience, guys. I'll catch you in the next video. Bye bye.